Welcome to the People's Law School, the effort by the Alabama Trial Lawyers, the Alabama Association for Justice, to bring to you our legal system, the best lawyers in America. Tonight, we have Bobby Prince of Tuscaloosa. Bobby Prince is a great lawyer. He's been one of the best trial lawyers in Alabama for the last several decades. I mean, he's a good one, and he's got all kinds of multi-million-dollar verdicts and settlements to prove it. He has an excellent law firm there in Tuscaloosa, and they specialize in helping people just like you and me and all of those who need help in our legal system. I also note that he and his law firm represent the Saban family down there, so that means they must really be good, Coach Saban. And but he has been the president of the trial lawyers. He's held every position there is. But you know what blows my mind? This boy right here, I went into the law school the other day, the University of Alabama School of Law there in Tuscaloosa. And if you go back there, there's the trial wing. That's where they teach all the little law students how to try a case. And back there, it's known as the Bob Prince Trial Advocacy Wing. It's named after him, and he's still alive. Now, y'all tell me how that happened. I don't know. But I'm proud to know him, and he's an excellent lawyer, and I'm so glad he's going to talk to us tonight. Bob Prince. Thank
you. Barely alive. Barely. Okay, so you guys know what my topic is, the insurance company? All right. Well, thank you, Alan, for having me back up here, first of all. I would say sunny Madison County, but it rained on me all the way. Okay, insurance company. So let me start you off with a story. Drunk walks into a bar out in Reno. They're having an insurance convention out there. He sees a sign that says that, so he runs up there and gets a microphone, grabs it out of the guy's hand. He's drunk. And he said, I'm going to tell you about insurance people. So they're the same as crooks. And the hush fell over the crowd. He said, and if anybody wants to take issue with that, come on up here. I'm ready. This guy in the back starts running up there to him, red-faced. He's all bowed up. You could tell he's about to do something. So on the way up there, that drunk says, so you're an insurance man? He said, no, I'm a crook. And he took offense at it. All right, well, you know, there are enough lawyer jokes that I thought I might pick on the insurance company just a little bit because they are ripe fruit for the pickings. I bet you if I poll this audience, everybody in here has had some kind of an experience with insurance companies that has been less than pleasant. If you ever dealt with one, if you do it more than once or twice, you're going to know what I'm talking about. And why is that? Well, let's start with this. The insurance industry in the United States has 3.8 trillion, let me see if I got that right, yes, $3.8 trillion in assets. Now, I don't even know how much that is, but I do know this. It is more than the gross national product of every country in the world except America and Japan. In other words, they own more assets than any other country besides America and Japan. That's how big they are. So you're talking about companies and an industry that makes a humongous amount of money. How do they do that? Well, as a lawyer that sues insurance companies and goes against them every day, I can tell you that they do it on the backs of their policyholders. They do it, not all of them. You know, there are some good ones out there. It's just hard to find one. And here's why. They're in business to make a profit. That's their goal. They have to answer to shareholders. That's first and foremost. And to do that, they have to keep squeezing the dollar, making a profit, reporting it, selling the stock, and stock values go up. How do they do that? Well, let me show you something on this little slide. I want you to look at what the former Allstate president said. He said, we have an obligation, this is the first sentence, to return to our shareholders. Now notice he didn't say policyholders. Shareholders, that's their first priority, not their customers. And according to documents that the trial lawyers forced Allstate to turn over, they have a systematic, in-place policy where they make profits off their policyholders. Now, I'm not making this up. These are testimonies from former directors of insurance companies, office holders, stockholders sometimes, insurance agents, adjusters. We take their depositions, we get their documents. They try to hide them from us, but eventually we get them. And when we get them and peruse them and give them to our experts, this is what we come away with. You know, and we're going to cover it tonight. We're going to get in a minute to my favorite, which is the 3D defense. I'm going to save that one for you. You be thinking about what you think that is. But I'll give you a preview. For years and years, we tried to get this document. We knew it was in existence because some of the adjusters had told us it was. And when I say us, I'm talking about lawyers like Al and myself who represent people like you. We don't represent insurance companies. So we knew the document was there, and so every lawsuit from here to California, we would ask for it. You know, the bigger firms, the bigger cases, we would always say, you know, give us your documents about your policy that you use to settle claims. And they wouldn't do it. Well, finally, a judge in Kentucky made them give it up. And when we got it, it's a 3D strategy. I'm going to cover it in a minute. You be thinking about what you think that might be. Okay, so when you pay your premium, what happens when you do that? The money goes into a pool, a giant pool. You know, they have what I call bean counters. They run the numbers trying to decide when will you die? How long will you live? Will you be disabled? Will you get in an accident? They've got all these percentages all figured out. And then they say, well, if we have this many premiums, this many dollars, and we pay out this many claims, we'll have this much profit. They do a pro forma, a balance sheet, you know, saying how can we make money? This is how we do it. Well, now, like any business, they have to watch expenses. They have to watch administrative expenses. You know, they've got to pay people like clerks and typists and that sort of thing. They have to pay adjusters, usually on a commission, or sometimes on a commission, but they have to pay their employees. Afterwards, they get that net profit. So think of it as all your money goes into a pool. They've got it figured out whether you know, how many claims they're going to have. And if they underestimate it, they don't make as much profit. If they overestimate claims, they make more profit. Then they invest it. Now, this is one of my favorites. You see up there, number 2, what's left is invested by the insurance company. You know where they invest it? In the stock market. They buy bonds. They buy conservative stocks. Well, we just got through going through a period starting in about 2008 and last until, what, 2012. Some people say it's still going on, but at least to 2012, we were in a recession at the least, and more like a depression. Well, you know what stock values did? They plummeted. They dropped. And when they did, now the insurance company's losing money on their investments. So they have to make it up somewhere. So they go to the doctors. Let me just use them. I know this from personal experience. And they say, we have to raise your rates, medical malpractice insurance. These lawyers are suing doctors, and they're just running these doctors out of town with these big verdicts. And my doctor friend's telling me this, and I said, that's a joke, right? I mean, there are no big verdicts in Tuscaloosa County. You can't find a lawyer that would take a medical malpractice case. You can't find one. Let that sink in for a second. Why? Well, first of all, they're expensive. Second, jurors don't like to render verdicts against healers. But third, and most importantly, to prosecute one of those cases, you have to get an expert from out of state. Usually, doctors won't testify against doctors. You bring him down from New York, pay him $20,000 or more, and if you're lucky enough to get a verdict, and they appeal it down to Montgomery, coming back like a handball. Used to. Now it's getting a little better, but we're not even yet. Well, I remember one year there were 5 verdicts sent down there. 4 got reversed. Now think about that. Lawyers don't take them. Jurors don't like to award them. And so you finally get 5 through the system and 4 come back. Now you see why lawyers won't take them? Here's the insurance man in there with a group of doctors saying, the lawyers are running y'all out of business. We don't have a choice but to raise our rates. And my friend was telling me that, and I said, you go look at their stock market results. When the stock market's up, they don't raise rates. Stock market drops, they raise those rates because they're going to make a profit on you and me. Okay. So money saved by expenses. Here you are. You know, how do they save money? Well, cut those expenses. What's one of the expenses? Settlements. A settlement. You get hurt in a car wreck. The insurance company, if they've got that case valued, let's say $25,000. If they can settle that case with you for $15,000, they just made $10,000. There's no two ways about that. Now remember, they got the bean counters. They already know kind of how much money they're going to be paying out. So with every claim, if they can reduce it 2 or 3%, you're talking about millions and millions of dollars. 2 or 3% only. Well, how in the world do they do that? We're going to get to it, but look up there and look at what I'm saying. The settlements for things like illnesses, like in health insurance. You make a claim, they deny it. They save money. Disability. You file a claim for disability, they deny it. They save money if you don't sue them. A lot of folks don't. Did y'all know that? I'm amazed at the number of people. Of course, the insurance company knows this. I'm amazed at the number of people that give up. They'll get a letter from an insurance company saying, you don't have a claim. And they go, well, I thought I did. I guess I don't. And they're through. They don't go to a lawyer. Think of the money they save by just denying a claim because X number of people don't go to a lawyer. And they know that. Okay, so what then, I think we're fixing to come up on. Let me just tell you something about this. This is one of my favorite movies. How many of y'all have read, and I know just about everybody in here has either read John Grisham or seen one of his movies. He's a lawyer. Did y'all know that? Lawyer from Mississippi. Trial lawyer like Alan, myself. He got smart and started writing down some of his stories that I'm up here telling, and he's writing and selling them. He made a movie about one of his books. They made movies about several of them. One I really like is The Rainmaker. A rainmaker is a guy or a woman that goes out and gets money, gets business. Rainmaker, it's a money maker for a business. All right. So in this case, Matt Damon, I mean, some of y'all probably remember this, but I'm just going to give you a little background before we'll run you a movie clip for a minute or so. What happened, this is the basis of the story. Middle-aged couple, now this could be in Alabama, Mississippi, or New York, it doesn't matter. Middle-aged couple whose son, 22 years old, had leukemia. They filed a claim on their insurance. And it turns out that there was a cure. All they had to do was cover this and the boy would have lived. And of course they denied the claim. And then the mother filed it again. They denied the claim. They filed it again. Denied. So the lawyer sues them. While the suit's going on, the boy dies. Okay? So that's what the movie's about. This is the mother on the stand with a letter from the insurance company.
July 7th, 1996. Read policy 78499009886. Dear Mrs. Black, on 7 prior occasions, this company has denied your claim in writing. We now deny it for the 8th and final time. You must be stupid, stupid, stupid. Sincerely, Everett Lufkin, Vice President, Claims Department.
Okay, now that kind of sums it up. They don't put that in writing. It's a movie. They don't put it in writing. But trust me, denying those claims, they do sit around and say, if we have X number of people that will quit and not go to a lawyer, that they're stupid enough not to follow up, we will save X number of dollars. Okay? So that's a good, I wanted to show you that because it drives it home. Are they that bad? No, they're not that bad. They're not going to put it in writing. Let me put it that way. Okay, what are the tactics? What are the tactics that they use to deny your claim, reduce your claim, that sort of thing. Well, first of all, we're going to talk about adjusters. And it was only 2 years ago, January 1st, 2013, that they had to get a license. Before that, you could just apply, get a little training from the company, and go out and start adjusting claims. Now, what does that mean, adjusting a claim? Well, it's sort of like adjusting your back. When it's hurting, you know, you get it adjusted, and all of a sudden you feel better. Insurance companies, if they can adjust that claim, they feel better. They adjust it down. They make more money. I don't know why they call them adjusters, but they do, and I've always been curious about that. Yeah, they adjust all right, and it's not in your favor. First thing that they do is they come to you. Let me give you a hypothetical. You're going through an intersection, minding your own business. You've got the green light. Somebody else is distracted coming the other way. They T-bone your car, hit you from the side, knocks you against the window. You've got a back injury. And so their insurance company, the person reports it to their insurance company, not your insurance company. So the adjuster for the other insurance company calls you. They're going to adjust the claim. They're going to pay the claim, you know, because they know they're at fault. So what do? Well, the first thing they do is they tell you, well, it's going to be a fair settlement. I know you want a fair settlement. We want you to get a fair settlement. I mean, they can say that, can't they? I mean, everything's relative. He or she may think it is. But I want you to remember this and know this. That person on the other end of that phone is not your friend. They don't represent you. They are trying to reduce the claim. They want to pay out as little as possible, and sometimes they want to pay zero to you. Okay? I mean, why? Because the insurance companies have it set up, their salaries based on that. The more they save them, they get a bonus. They get a star. So yeah, it helps if the adjuster saves money. He does not have your interest at heart. He got his interest in the insurance companies. Second thing they say is, this is a good one now, anybody that's practiced law over a year or two and handles personal injury cases, you would have run into this one. Client comes in, you sign them up, get the story, and the client says, oh, by the way, Mr. Prince, that adjuster said I didn't need to get a lawyer. I said, I bet he did. What did he say to you? He said, you're just going to get, 40% or 30% or whatever, and no sense paying you. But you just, you just get the money, and if I settle with him, I'd get a lot more money than if you come into a lawyer. That's the first thing they tell them, pretty much. Now, not all companies, but a lot of them do. A lot of them, okay? So they say, don't go to a lawyer. And I can tell you this, my firm and others have studied this, and there's statistics on it. You go to a lawyer after an offer's been made, I would say 9 times out of 10, I'm just doing that to be safe because I don't know of a single time when we got less or equal to what that offer was. I'm talking about in their pocket after we were paid and expenses. So I'm going to go for 9 out of 10 that he's wrong or she's wrong when they say that. It's just not true. And one of the reasons is because they lowball. They don't offer you what the claim is worth. Okay, here's a good one. Alabama, they don't have to tell you they're recording you. Some of them do tell you, but they don't have to. If one person on the phone call knows about it, they're legal. So they record you. Now, in the handout, they say, hey, how you doing? And if you say, I'm doing fine, they can later use that against you. That's an extreme. They go further than that. It's not just how you doing. They'll say, well, now, what have you seen the doctor for? And if you name off a couple of things that you told your doctor and you leave off one, good luck on ever getting any kind of claim for that one. Because they got that recording on you and they will use it against you later. So I think you need to be careful about what you say. Get it in writing. You know, if you're going to handle your own claim, at least keep an email trail, keep a letter trail. Don't rely on the verbal because they're not relying on the verbal. They're going to record it. Okay, You see what that says. Here comes the release form. This is one of my favorites too. And they even write, the lawyers, they'll write me and say, hey, will you get your client to sign a medical release? It'll just save us a lot of time. Y'all know what's on that release? It's not what's on it. It's what's not on it. They don't say, hey, look, I want to get your records from the hospital for that wreck, on July the 4th of last year. That thing says, I'm going to get your medical records. To a year before the wreck, 5 years before the wreck. You see what I'm saying? You go in there and complain of a back injury 10 years ago, they got it. May have nothing to do with this wreck. Do not sign those forms. Just say, well, hey, I want my lawyer to look at this. If you think that you can do it by yourself, make sure that you read if there are any limitations on the time of it, what they can get. I mean, it's a privacy thing too. So, don't be signing that release form. Okay, here's another one. I call you up, Ms. Smith. We're at fault in this, and we want to make a fair settlement with you. And we know you got bills coming in, and you missed some work. Probably getting behind, and I can get you a check. I can get a check in hand within 14 days. Quick settlement. We'll pay you $5,000. You can have that check within, I tell you, I can get it within 10 days for you. I mean, are we at the county fair here? It's like, no. Well, I don't know. Okay, 7. Quick settlement. If you say yes, you're signing a full release. You're signing a release that says any kind of claim from this wreck. Any kind, even known or unknown, doesn't matter. Full, complete release. You get one bite at the apple. One bite. So that means if you go to Allen, you come to our firm, go to another law firm, the lawyers, they want to get your medical records. We want to get your prognosis from the doctor for the long-term effects of this, because we know we don't get to come back in later and go, oh, hey, wait, I forgot. She's complaining now of a back injury, and I want to include that. And they go, oh, no, you signed a release. Your client signed a release. So quick settlement, full release. All right, delay. Now this one, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this one out. So the insurance companies figured this out a long time ago. The longer they delay your claim, the more you need it. Now, there may be some Rockefellers or, big rich oil company people in this room, but I don't think so. I think y'all are working men and women, and you need that paycheck, and you don't need to miss work, and your bills come in. And the longer they delay, the more you need it. Here's what I was telling somebody the other day, trying to explain this. They said, well, I understand that, but surely not. I said, oh, surely yes. That's true. They do. I said, it's like selling a house. You're working for a company and they're going to transfer you somewhere. You got to sell your house because you can move into Tallahassee. You think you can get full value for your house? Because see, you got to sell it. You're going to end up with 2 mortgages, so you're going to take less. Whereas if you're sitting there, you're working and you don't have a transfer, somebody drives by your house, admires it, comes up, knocks on the door, says, I'm going to buy your house. It's beautiful. I'm going to move in this neighborhood. You say, it's not for sale. They go, yeah, I want it. How much will you take for it? It's not for sale. The more you say that, the higher they go. If you have to sell it, you don't get as much. Okay, in a claim, they know this. If you have to take the money, you're going to take less. And they're going to make sure you do, because they're not going to offer it to you. Now, do they do this on purpose? Yes. Did you think I was going to say, I don't know? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They delay, put you in a financial strain, because the longer they hold that money, you need it more, and they can make more money off of it. Pretty simple. Okay. Surveillance. You think they won't watch you in a big case? Oh, they will. They will too. And they say, your client's claiming a back injury, and we got a video of your client building a fence in the backyard, swinging a sledgehammer. See, they will watch you. So, I mean, I guess they say that's fair. I don't know. I'm not sure it is if they're going to invade your privacy. And sometimes you're not doing what they say you're doing. If that makes any sense, they'll embellish it. They'll increase it. Okay, I said delay. How about deny? Plain old no. We're not paying you. Let me tell you the most recent tactic we found in that. Alabama's got this rule that if somebody causes an injury and you get injured, that person is supposed to pay you to make you whole. They're supposed to compensate you. Lost wages, pain and suffering. But our law says, but if the person making the claim is at all at fault, also no recovery. Let me give you a hypothetical. You come into an intersection, light turns yellow. You think, I can make it. So you start through it, but it turns red right before you're not under it. You could stop, but you're going through. All right? From the other direction, somebody's speeding. Y'all hit. They're negligent. They were speeding. But so are you negligent a little bit, because they got a witness that says, oh, she could have stopped. You know, she was going to go on through. Now, clearly the other one is more negligent than you, but it doesn't matter in Alabama. Now, that's an extreme example, all right? We say, if you're at all at fault. I have found that juries, you know, they'll listen to the jury instruction, but they do what's right. Y'all know what's right and what's wrong, so you do what's right. And I don't believe I've ever seen a jury follow the 1% rule. And the insurance companies talk about, well, if you're 1%, see, they get it from if you're at all at fault, okay? The most recent thing they do, their defense lawyers have told them about this. I can almost see this happening. And the adjuster goes, wait a minute. You mean if they're 1% at fault, they can't recover? That's right. If it goes to the cause of the injury. Now our clients are getting letters where somebody will run a red light, T-bone my client in the center of an intersection. We make a claim, the person does. An insurance company for the speeder sends a letter and says, under Alabama law, you can't recover if you're 1% and you were 1% negligent. So we deny your claim. I've got letters in my file. They're doing it. Now what they don't tell you is, well, it's got to go to the cause. You could be negligent and it not go to the cause of the injury. You see what I mean? I mean, let's say you're not quite paying attention, you know, to this person that's going to run the red light and speed, that if you had have looked over there, maybe you could have stopped, even though they were negligent. Well, I mean, I guess an argument can be made that you might be negligent there for not looking, but was that the cause? No. But they don't say that. They just say, if you're 1% negligent, you can't recover. People call their lawyer and ask them that. The lawyer's got to say, well, yeah, but if it goes to the cause of it. But a lot of folks don't do that. They just say, well, I guess I don't have a claim. And they quit. And the company saves money on settlement and they make more profit. How about this one? Dispute. Now this is probably where y'all have been involved. If you've had any experience with insurance companies, they will dispute the claim. What they do is they'll say, well, yeah, you know, our client ran that light, but now your back that you're claiming now, you know, you went to a chiropractor a year ago for that back. So we don't want to pay for something we didn't cause. They'll dispute it, see? Dispute your claim. Sometimes they'll point to, I tell you, homeowners, this is a good one. All these insurance policies, y'all know, I mean, you can't understand them. I can't understand them. I do this for a living. I have to chart it out, and you know, this section, that section, they're impossible. Well, they're impossible for a reason. Because those adjusters will point to something and say, look at this. Right here on page 4, you know, X. And you look at it and you go, that's what it says. But it may not even apply to your claim. And you think, well, it does. Those policies, they use them against people. Now, so this one says, If they're questioning you about a medical claim, ask them. Say, you got a medical degree? Because they don't, of course. Okay, so, well, I mean, that's what we do. All right, I told you about the 3 Ds. We're down to we just got through with a dispute. I want you to look at this one though. Got to have a little humor. You probably can't see this in the back, but what this is, you got a gentleman sitting there and the doctor has got, a scope looking in his ear. And the man is asking the doctor, can you see the problem? The patient's asking that, and the doctor's over on the right. And then you got your insurance company right here in the black coat. He's looking down in the scope. And the doctor has got his scope looking at the insurance man. So the patient says, can you see the problem? And the doctor says, I'm afraid so. And it's the insurance company. Here's another one. This one I know I'm going to have to read this one to you too. You can see the big telescope. You got a man looking. And he said, the man looking through the telescope says, good Lord, a massive black hole is developing right before my eyes. The entire universe is in danger of imploding. And the professor behind him says, relax, professor. You've got it pointed at the AIG building again. Y'all, I don't have the numbers, but y'all do know that we bailed them out with a gazillion. I can't even, there's a number that, I don't even know the word for it. And it was so big that the government made that insurance company into a bank. They got chartered as a bank because we loaned them so much money. They had so much money. You check it out. They turned into a bank. Now that's big. Look at what AIG guy says. Morris Greenberg. Now these are quotes. After 9/11, okay, terrorist attack in New York, he says opportunities for this 82-year-old company have never been greater. Prices for insurance are increasing by leaps and bounds. These are quotes. These are not my words. He told his stockholders, it's not just in the United States, but rates are rising throughout the world. So our business is looking quite good going forward. He also said of the increased awareness for the need of insurance that the attacks prompted. In other words, because of the destruction, everybody got nervous and said, we need more insurance. And he said, AIG is well positioned as well as we've ever been in the marketplace. Now, I'm not saying that he made money off the tragedy, but I'm saying he's a good businessman. He saw an opportunity. Their allegiance is not to you. It's to the stockholders. Okay? Then the second one, he didn't quit. This one was on Hurricane Andrew. He said, after it hit, he said, we have opportunities from this and everyone must probe with the brokers and the clients. Begin by calling your underwriters together and explaining the significance of the hurricane. This is an opportunity to get prices increased now. You're going to raise the rates. Okay? And I told you a little bit about this. The next slide will. Property and casualty, $30 billion. That's with a B. Life and health, $30 billion. And the CEOs of the top 10 property casualty insurance companies, an average of almost $9 million a year. Now that was back in 2007. No telling what they're making now. Okay, then I said, about the confusion. And those contracts are confusing. The terms are, they've got loopholes in them. I want you to listen to what this is what the South Carolina Supreme Court said. It's a justice on the South Carolina Supreme Court having reviewed this case against an insurance company. He said, insurers generally are attempting to convince the customer when selling the policy that everything is covered, and convince the court when a claim is made that nothing is covered. And that's the Supreme Court guy talking. That's not a trial lawyer. These are the top 10 worst insurance companies according to statistics that lawyers keep when we sue insurance companies. They ask us, which one is the worst? All right? They ask policyholders. They poll them. They say, how you feeling about your insurance company? Well, here are the top 10. I'm not saying it's not what I say. That's what the polls say. I don't know if yours is on there or not, but there's some big names on there. Yes, sir.
And I've been sitting here thinking about my insurance company. Right off the bat, in your opinion, can you name several good companies? And in my mind, I've been with USAA for 35 years. They're for military members solely, and I think they are rated #1. And I've had service with them many times,
Yeah.
and I've never seen this negativity that
Yeah.
you're producing
Yeah.
for these insurance companies.
Okay, well, I think that's wonderful that you haven't, okay? It depends on who you're dealing with. Let me give you an example. Some of my friends say that there's this one insurance company, and I don't want to say it on the air, but it's kind of, if you're fat, then some people say you're chubby. They say that's a horrible company, okay? When the storm came through Tuscaloosa, I had that insurance. I had the greatest experience I've ever had with an adjuster. I couldn't believe it. So that company responded to the people well. But now you go to Birmingham, the same company, and the lawyers say, oh, they're horrible. I think it just depends on who the adjuster is, for sure, who his boss is, and that company. And I'll just go ahead and name this one now because this is a matter of public record. Several of the big companies did the 3D. I'm going to go ahead and get to the 3Ds now. Allstate was one of them. So I'm not afraid to say that. It's a matter of public record. But there were some other big companies. That document that I've told y'all about earlier, it was a written document policy that went out to the adjusters so that when you file a claim, that adjuster, so it depends on who is in charge. If a new vice president of claims comes in, which is what happened here, one of the executives came in and issued this order to all the people on the front lines, the adjusters. He said, we're going to employ the 3D strategy. I want you to deny the claim. I want you to delay the claim. And then I want you to defend the claim. Now think about that for a second. Somebody T-bones your car in an intersection. You file a claim. The adjuster is looking at it and he goes, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, you don't have a claim. He denied the claim. He goes, well, wait a minute. He ran a red light. I didn't do it. I'm sorry. X number of people stopped right there. They did not follow up. They just went home. Some percent of people said, well, I'm not taking that. So they call Alan. And Alan looks at it and says, yeah, you got a case. So Alan starts dealing with them. So the adjuster looks at it and goes, delay. Yep, Mr. Brinkley, we just need a couple of more documents. You think you can get us X number document? Alan gets them, sends them to him, gets a letter back. Mr. Brinkley, can you get us one more? We looked at this and this is not clear. Can you get the doctor's statement on that? Delay, 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 delay. Because he knows that you're going to be calling Alan, I was down there 6 months ago. You don't have any results. I hadn't sued. I mean, what's the deal? Alan says, well, I'm talking to the adjuster, and he's requiring more documents. Delay. Now, that's with a lawyer. Without a lawyer, it's got to be 10 times worse. Mr. Smith, you're going to need to go back down to the doctor and get X. Get some more documents. It looks here, it says back injury. Delay. X number of percent of people quit after the delay. They just quit. And they won't go to a lawyer. The others, let's just say 1/3, goes to a lawyer. Alan gets it, sues. Defense lawyers that Alan's dealt with for years is not making him an offer. And then finally Alan says, well, Tom, it's a clear liability case. Why aren't you making an offer? He goes, no, they set us for trial. Why? Because that memo said defend. Y'all think about this. Over a period of time, so, maybe you hadn't had this experience, but if you ever, back at that time, ran into the 3Ds, they weren't going to pay your claim. They made a gazillion dollars off this. I mean, that's my terminology. I'm exaggerating for emphasis. They made a lot of money on it. Okay? I covered some of this, deny, defend, and then all state agents were told to lie to policyholders, their own policyholders, not the adverse. Their own, told to lie to them, and were often rewarded with prizes and bonuses. I'm not making this up. I mean, the truth is stranger than fiction on this one. It's like, what? They tell their adjusters, hey, if you deny X number of claims and make X number of dollars, you get a bonus. You get a prize. Send your family to Disney World. I'm just saying, you know, on our backs, on the policyholders' backs. It's not just Allstate. This is documented. You know, State Farm, after the tornadoes came through in Oklahoma, they brought a class action against them for the owners saying that the insurer routinely undervalued their property. They're policyholders. Like if your property is worth $100,000, they routinely undervalued it, which means they undervalued yours, a routine, not an isolated instance. The jury ruled the company had acted recklessly and with malice. So look down at the bottom. They did a survey. I told you about those surveys. There was 34% that said they were extremely unsatisfied. 12% unsatisfied, so that's 46. 9 more, 54, 55. 55% over, that's their own policyholders. Don't like their own company. Okay, see what farmers did. Any of y'all got farmers? Look at this one. They've been accused of providing its employees with incentives, gifts, certificates, pizza parties for keeping claim payments low, dissuading angry policyholders from contacting lawyers. Not the adverse now. Their policyholders been paying premiums to them. And then look at that bottom part. The insurer has been sued for failing to pay policyholder claims in full. And it's been investigated by insurance departments in several states. The adjusters were using the Colossus. Now, I think I talked to you about that. It's a computer software program where they just put in your age, your gender, your address. That's more than they can put in. They can make that software, they can manipulate it. They can, whatever they want to make weight more, like your age or something, and it spits out a range of settlement. So then they say, well, we got an evaluation, and here it is. So they were not applying their own experience, their own judgment. They were just had a computer printout. So that's all we're offering you. They were fined $3.4 million for increasing the premiums after they made claims, legitimate claims, not fraudulent, legitimate, and they fined them. I mean, you got a policy of insurance. Now, remember what I said at the beginning. They've already got all this figured out. They know how many claims they're going to be. Like in Alabama, they have to have all these rates approved. They have to justify them. So like if your policy at homeowners is a certain rate that they charge you, that means that insurance company has sent their stuff to Montgomery and said, okay, based on our tables, our actuarial tables, based on the number of claims, blah, 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 this is how much we're going to have to charge to make a profit. So they know in advance. They got the spreadsheet right here. So let's say they've got 100,000 claims built into it. Well, if they can get those 100,000 down to 70,000, look how much money they just made. So they know in advance all this. It's not a question of them, like a regular business, if your expenses go up, you don't make as much money. They doctor the results. Okay? How about this one? We entitled this one The Lowest of the Low. Because here HealthNet set goals and paid bonuses based in part on how many individual policyholders were dropped and how much money was saved. You file a claim, they drop you. Just drop you. They avoided paying $35 million in medical expenses by rescinding 1,600 policies between the year 2000 and 2006. They just drop you. During that period, it paid its senior analysts in charge of cancellations over $20,000 in bonuses, in part meeting or exceeding annual targets. Here's what was said by the Los Angeles city attorney, municipal, a lawyer for the city. An egregious scheme to not only delay or deny the payment of thousands of legitimate medical claims, but also to jeopardize the health of more than 6,000 customers by retroactively canceling their health insurance when they needed it the most. Now, that wasn't me now. He was describing the rescission of policyholders undergoing cancer treatments by Blue Cross, Blue Shield. That's Alabama's insurance, right? I mean, about 90%, 80% of us insured by them. How about this one? Until death do us part. These are on long-term care insurance. There was one case, 77-year-old policyholders made claims denied for one reason or another over a period of 4 years. A legitimate claim, sort of like that movie. The insurance company made it so hard to make a claim that people either died or gave up. And that was an agent, a former agent, doing the talking. AIG delays payments of claims for a period of 1 year or longer. Claims supervisors at AIG report delaying payment of claims by locking the checks up in the vault. Yeah, we got your check, Miss Smith. I can't get it out. It's back there in the back somewhere. Oh, it's in the locked up vault. So what did the senior executive Nation Association of Insurance Commissioners say? Now, listen to who this is now. The senior executive of the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. Every state's got an insurance commissioner. That's what we're talking about here. The bottom line is that insurance companies make money when they don't pay claims. They'll do anything to avoid paying because if they wait long enough, they know the policyholder will die. Now that's, the insurance commissioners of the states. Okay, we got one more little film clip for you.
Something terrible is happening.
Something terrible is happening.
Something terrible is happening.
Something terrible is happening.
Health insurance executives are getting a bad rap.
As the healthcare debate heats up,
we need to remember who the real victims are.
Health insurance executives.
People are saying a lot of mean things about health insurance companies and their executives. And it's got to stop.
these great businessmen are American heroes.
So why is Obama trying to reform healthcare when insurance companies are doing just fine, making billions of dollars of profit?
Obama, why?
Insurance companies need our support because they keep our selfish priorities in check when we can't.
Please, doctor, my daughter's dying. She needs medication.
Think about somebody else for once.
If my kid falls off his bike and breaks his leg, he should have to pay that money out of pocket, out of his allowance.
How else is he going to learn not to fall off that bike?
And insurance companies are detail-oriented enough to deny claims for things like typos. If you spell something wrong, do you really deserve surgery? I don't think so.
80% of the American public support the public plan because it would give quality care people can actually afford.
But when you think about it, who's really supporting it, other than 80% of the American people?
And the public option would make insurance companies lower their prices and give better service in order to compete.
What's so American about competition?
But health insurance companies are huge.
They need to make big profits so they can afford to give their employees health insurance.
Believe me, that stuff's not cheap.
It makes sense.
Insurance company CEOs have a right to their American dream.
And it's 5 houses,
a private plane,
$500 million in your pocket,
and a mini zoo in your backyard for exotic animals like a white tiger and pygmy horses.
Insurance companies offer you variety.
They can change the price and terms of your plan at any time or stop covering you altogether.
Do you want to get rid of those options?
So join us in the fight to protect our insurance company profits. They've looked out for our best interests for so long. Now we should look out for theirs.
And I'm not being sarcastic, not at all.
All right, that's sort of like a Saturday Night Live skit, but it was tongue-in-cheek, but they said it a lot better than I could. So, okay, any questions about anything? Got one?
What about the insurance commissioner? Don't they require by law a claim has to be denied within 30 days or 45, or they're breaking the law?
Sure. Said, how about the insurance commissioner, because they've got a certain time that they've got to, they force the companies to either pay the claim or deny the claim within a certain amount of time. Yeah, that law is on the books, okay, but here's the problem in Alabama. We don't have the money in our coffers down in Montgomery to enforce our laws. I mean, that's the best and easiest answer I can give you, because they don't have somebody that comes out and says, we want to spot check you and see how you're doing on paying those claims within 30 days. See this? They don't have that kind of personnel. I was surprised to know we do some toxic tort. You know, like if a company, an oil company, a gas company has a release, as they call it. They get gasoline in the groundwater, and it, you know, kills your plants, and you smell the benzene, which can cause cancer. They don't have an enforcement arm. You know, in other words, when a company spills gasoline, here's how it works. The company has to devise a plan to remediate or fix it. And they submit the plan to Montgomery. See, and Montgomery, the ADM looks at it and goes, okay, well, yes, or maybe they might say, well, go ahead and dig a well out here just a little bit further to find out how far the plume is. But they don't have somebody. You see the difference? What needs to happen is, if we had enough money, somebody from ADM or the insurance company would come to the spiller, the releaser, and say, okay, we're going to decide what the plume is and you're going to clean it up. But it doesn't work that way. You have to self-report, see? And then the ADM approves it. The same way with the insurance company. They send the documents down there, and the insurance company says, yeah, the Commissioner, Department of Insurance says, yeah, we'll approve this. But they don't come out and, you know, put them in jail or fine them. Now, if we write enough letters, every now and then they'll do something. They'll send a letter to them and say, we have reports that you're not, and then so. But I'm telling you, they don't do anything to them. They don't do anything to them. Yeah.
I have a question concerning the Alabama law of this 1%, that 1%
Right.
of the victim
Sure.
is at fault, therefore the claim is denied.
Right.
100%? Does that refer to medical claims or property claims?
Both. If you're hurt due to somebody else's fault, if you are at fault, you can't recover. That would be medical expenses, property, whatever your loss is, you can't recover. It all stems from the act of who caused it. But now that's what I was telling y'all. Juries, my experience is they don't pay any attention to that 1% rule. They just look at it and say, you know, hey, what would be fair here? Who caused this? They don't get into 99 versus 1. That just doesn't even sound fair, does it? And most every other state has comparative negligence. If you're 1%, or let's say you're 10 and they're 90, you get 80. That's a popular form. We don't have that.
I have USAA also, a wonderful company.
Yeah, it is.
When you're not at fault.
Yeah, when you're not at fault, that's right. They're tough to deal with from a plaintiff lawyer standpoint, though. I'm going to tell you right now, they're tough.
But they're always trying this 1% thing, you know.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, you go at 25 miles an hour over the crossing at green light, and somebody hits you.
Yeah.
There's cuts in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm always very positive about how can this be anybody's, but it's their fault.
We've got one right now where we've got a case right now where that letter was sent. And you tell me what y'all think. The person was on the side of the interstate, okay? And his car was broken down or something, I don't know. And my client was coming from Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, in the left-hand lane, minding her own business, going the speed limit. We have a witness behind her. That car was defective. Again, it needed repair, I guess. He hit the gas and it went in reverse. Reverse now, backed into the intersection, into the interstate at a rapid speed. And hit. It caused, my client to run into the barrier. We got a letter saying, no, you were 1%. We go, wait, what'd she do wrong? They said, well, she could have avoided that. She had time to see him coming. I said, she's going 65 miles an hour down the interstate. We had a witness behind saying she didn't do anything wrong. So we got that letter. But, we're going to sue them, so it doesn't matter. But a lot of folks quit. They get it and they say, well, I guess if that's the law, who else got one?
If you're in an accident and you're not at fault, and the adjuster from the at-fault party calls you, do you actually have to talk to them and answer their questions?
Well, what you do, no, you don't have to, okay? But what happens is you eliminate any chance of getting a settlement. But my position is, well, you didn't give up anything because they're not going to pay you what it's worth. The moment they hear you don't have a lawyer, it's just like easy pickings. They do it for a living. They do it every day. Yeah.
Can you settle a claim whether you have a lawyer or not, without signing a medical release.
No. Oh, without signing medical release. You might can talk them into it, but I doubt it. But I thought you were going to say without signing a release. If you get $1, they're going to get a full release. But a medical release, you can try, but right now it's real popular with them because they know they can find something in your records, you know, to use against you. So you're going to meet resistance, but there's no ironclad rule. And if you said, well, hey, I'll sign it, but I want to limit it to, you know, since the date of the wreck at this hospital, yeah, that'd be all right, but they won't do that. You wait and see. You try it.
If they send you that release form and you mark out where it says anytime and write in a date range and then sign it, is that valid or
No, that's valid, but if they initial it and everything and they agree to it, they're not going to agree to it. They're going to call you up, Mr. Smith, we got the form back where you've changed it. Now look, if you want us to settle a claim with you, you're going to have to sign our release. See, then that's not going to do it.
Are you talking about property claims or are you talking about injury?
Either one. Now he's talking about injury because that's a medical release form. A property claim, there's not much they can do with that as far as getting records. But a medical release form, they can do a whole lot with that.
But I mean, on just a wreck with a property claim.
No, they don't send that kind of release thing. I mean
No, they don't. But I mean, are you having the same trouble with that as you would with the injury?
Yeah. All right. So the question is, do you have the same amount of trouble with a property claim as a personal injury? Property claims generally by nature are less in value, usually. Okay. I have found, and I'd love to hear Alan speak to this, but I have found, and I hate to say this on the air because it probably cost me some business. I've seen more insurance companies run clients to my office by not paying the value of the car. Well, and all they got to do is just pay the full value of the car. The client, that's what the client really wanted. You know, they might take $500 for their sore neck. They send them to us, and you know, by the time we get our records and a doctor look at it, he goes, well, it's going to have arthritis later, blah, blah, blah. Now it's a $10,000 claim, $15,000. You could have saved that money, but they nickel and dime on property more than anything else. That's been my experience over the years.